For my mother, Clare Cooley. She's about to be here in 1 minute. We are officially going live on YouTube and Facebook. We are going live now. How are you guys doing? Like I said, my mother's going to be joining this live stream in a second here. While we're settling in, say hi in the comments. Give us a wave. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know you are here. And yeah, Clare Cooley's YouTube is The Creativity Show. Go check that out on YouTube. And if you haven't done so already, please consider going and subscribing. It really helps us grow the Creativity Show channel. Looks like she's popping into the screen now. And this is number 7 of her series of live streams about how to find your passion and promote it, whether that's writing, art. We got quite a presentation. Hey there. And 1 second. Hey there.
Hi, I'm Clare Cooley. This is a series of live streams on how to find your passion and promote it. This is number 7. There'll be 15 in this series. And I'm really glad you're here. Thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it when you tell your friends about it. That is the best way to promote ourselves, our friends, those that we get some value tuning into. By telling others. There's nothing better than word of mouth, in my humble opinion. And so thanks for telling your friends and associates, anybody you think this could help. My book, Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness, my memoir I wrote because people asked me to, saying my stories helped them and would help others. So I faced my doubts and fears about being a writer and putting my real life stories out there because it seemed, well, quite frankly, selfish not to. If it helps people, who am I to stay in my insecurity and not step up and share my stories to help others? So I did it, and I'm very, very glad that I did. It was a healing process for me, and deeply fulfilling when others, when it moves others, inspires, informs, even entertains others. There are heavy, real stories in it. That's why it's Rising Above Darkness. The title Incandescence came from my mother sending me a rare note. She very seldom wrote. She was an incredibly kind, wonderful, deep, wise, funny, sweet person, but she was very burdened with 4 kids, an alcoholic husband that then she was on her own, and asthma. So she didn't write much, but she wrote me a note saying, "Did you know you have inner incandescence, dear?" So that's where the title came from. A friend suggested it from one of my stories they read before I published the book. So other people can really help us see ourselves and see what we have that can help others, inspire, inform, motivate, entertain others by listening to people and watching their reactions, seeing what moves them. We can discover what we have to share with the world that helps us and helps others. So that's what this is all about. And this particular live stream, first I want to thank the National Endowment for the Arts and the Minnesota State Arts Board for the grant to do these live streams. I really, really appreciate it, and I'm so grateful to live in a community, in a state, in a world where people can do what they love and be supported by others to do so. I think what we love doing is the best we have to give to the world, so I'm all for finding your passion, that which fulfills you, and figuring out a way to have it sustain you. So that's what this series is about, how to promote it. Today, this seventh episode in this live stream is about events. All of these, if you can't be here for the live stream or you want to watch it again, or your friend, you want to send a link, is on my YouTube channel, The Creativity Show, and all of the live streams are up on The Creativity Show. I think it's called Live Streams, the tab you have to press to find them.
Right.
And my son, Bodhi, the technical one, said right, so that's good. So under live streams will be these. I also have a series of live streams that a different grant funded, reading excerpts from the book. So they're all in that live stream category.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
There's a little bit of ambient music in the live stream. Does it bother you? It's coming out of the laptop?
No.
Okay, good.
But you know what would be nice? Tissue.
All right. That's what we can do. Teamwork.
Teamwork. So this live stream about events, the first 6 were different categories of promoting ourselves, our passion, the work we'd like to be doing, the work we feel good about doing, and the work that possibly can help others as we do it and share it. So I've got a little fall runny nose, so excuse me. So
That's life.
yes, events. So the first event I want to talk about is actually the launch that we did virtually in the beginning of COVID. The book launch was live stream. So Bodhi, you have some photos of that you could share?
Absolutely. So here is the first photo. This is a behind-the-scenes shot of me and you during the live stream. And let's show one specifically of you. So you can see we set up a whole set with a big black backdrop and black muslin on the floor. And we really controlled the set and the lighting. This was the first time we used Restream, so we actually used some anamorphic stuff for that one. So that is your live stream, and there you can see we've got books on a pedestal next to, in between the stools. I'll just keep showing photos of your different book launch events.
No, we can show the photos when we get to that part. And so we did a virtual event, the live stream book launch, as you saw the photos of here in the video room. And we invited through our social media platforms, and we had a lovely turnout to launch the book. I chose my mother's birthday to be the day to launch it because she remains, even though she's passed a number of years ago, my most profound spiritual teacher. And so the book is dedicated to her, so launching it on her birthday just felt right. So after a book launch, which can be done virtually or in person, or whatever your artistic product creation, even if it's a not necessarily a creative product or service, all of these things can apply can be tailored for whatever it is that you want to do, the work you want to do and share with the world. So for books, scheduling and posting a book buyer's event, a lot of these things I am on the way to. I'm learning as I go. I have been an artist my whole life, but promoting it is actually new to me. And I'm learning by teaching. They say that's the best way to learn is by teaching. And I call it grow as you go. So having a book buyer's event is something I'm going to do at some point. We will catch up to that. And we can have book signings, virtual or in person. You can sign books and send them to people if you can't do it in person. Or I have chosen a very cautious approach during COVID, which most people I've noticed are saying it's over, but the science and medical people know it's not. And so I feel really good about not being, having any possibility of spreading it. It's a good time in my life to really focus on creating and this incredibly challenging promoting my creations, my book, my stencils, my art, my creativity coaching. I've never done that before, and it has, like a lot of good people, I've taken care of other people, children, nephews, my mother, people I could help along the way. And I, unfortunately had a long relationship with the father of my son, who Sphere couldn't allow him to support me in my endeavors. So I was held back from being able to, I continued my art, but I didn't have assistance to promote it. So now is the time in my life, and I don't regret it, because I get to be an example of, a mature woman, considered a senior by most, old by some. Definitely, I'm in that mature category, whatever you want to label it. And I'm not putting myself out to pasture or feeling like my only worth is babysitting the grandkids. I am a full, whole human being that has much to share and is fulfilled by sharing it, as many people are, but they believe the confusion of the world that once you get to a certain age, you don't have value as a woman anymore other than to take care of other people. But, I've loved taking care of other people in my life, and I feel like this work I'm doing now, sharing my stories, sharing my art, and my love for creativity, and my respect for doing what we love and sharing it with the world as a healing and self-enriching and economical and ecological way to be, that is helping many people. Bodhi's coming out to turn the fan down on we have a gas fireplace, so it pollutes less. There he is. But it is very cozy. I have to admit, I love it. In our over 100-year-old historic home, we restored ourselves. Speaking of creativity, Polishing the Emerald Lady is one of our first videos on the Creativity Show of restoring this over 100-year-old home ourselves. We didn't hire a single contractor. We did lots and lots. It needed a lot of love and a lot of deferred maintenance, which is why a couple of artists could afford it. And I'm very pleased that we got to save this historic building. And so that's another use for creativity, creative solutions. So back to the events we can have around whatever we want to share. whatever we want to sell, whatever we want to get feedback on, whatever we want to get the rewarding, moving other people by sharing. So the book launches, book signings, home shows. We have some photos of some home shows there, Bo?
Yes, bringing those up right now.
So before COVID caution, I'm going to call it, social distancing time, we got to focus on our work with no distractions. We had a number of home shows, opening our home to people coming to see the work from my art and our printmaking that Bodhi, the technical expert, makes in the office behind me, on numbered and signed prints, limited edition on archival paper with acid-free inks. We've also had shows with original art. That previous piece is at the International Crane Foundation now. This is that one, yeah. So then the next photo is me in the dining room. Those are stencil designs, which I'm going to talk about at the end of this episode. And this is a home show in the standing screen that I designed, and can be configured in any number of different ways to show any number of different size or types of two-dimensional art. So that's the warblers and wildflowers. And we use those same screens at a show at several shows at the Carpellas Museum because they had such limited wall space. There we are at the Carpellas, hanging at the crane, Sentinels of Serenity, that show. And so I did a couple shows there, one with the cranes and one with the warblers and wildflowers, using those standing screens that I designed so that we could, hang lots of art in places that didn't necessarily have wall space, bring our own.
You can see how little wall space there is here.
Right. So we created our own hanging system that has been used here in our last home, at Carpellas, at the, it's here in the Emerald Lady, and when I was the featured artist at the Lodi Sandhill Crane Festival, we used those screens there. There we are at the Lodi Sandhill Crane Festival. So as far as events, exhibitions. Okay, so do we have some other gallery photos? We might as well show those next. Yes, that actually is the gallery at Chevron corporate headquarters in San Francisco. I thought that was a perfect place, an oil company, to show cranes who nest in the wetlands in the world, because the more people that are aware that living in harmony with our environment we are part of is good for everybody. And so it's important to, well, I remember we went to, was it Kearney, Nebraska, or
Yes.
It was another place. There was a crane festival in a small town in Wisconsin. Bodhi, do you remember the name of that town? Anyway, we were...
Green Marsh, something like that.
Something like that. And while we were in the campground before the festival, we met a couple, and he was actually hunting cranes, shooting them right out of the sky. And the whooping cranes got to be almost extinct because they're such a big target until they were protected. And now, because of the efforts of good people informed people. The International Crane Foundation being a gathering place of those kinds of people, they're protected in the population and their captive breeding program and educating people and opening people's hearts to protecting such magnificent creatures, biological indicators of the well-being of the planet for all creatures, including humans. But this man was hunting them, and instead of reprimanding him, I gave him my crane stationery as a gift. And he literally got tears in his eyes and said he was not going to hunt them anymore. And that's what art is about. That's what sharing and moving people is about, one heart at a time. And that's why I do it for me, but I share it to promote what I believe wholeheartedly, most passionately, that we can live in harmony with each other and we can be at peace and spread peace instead of conflict, and we can live in harmony with nature and in respect for all life forms and the materials on the planet. We can do that, and let's get ever closer. And so for me, creating is a way I can do that instead of just consuming, instead of driving places to buy things, create with what I have around me. So we can share our work through home shows and signings at bookstores, and find clubs or groups or organizations or schools that have some connection to the work you're doing, if it's a book or art or whatever it is, that can appreciate your efforts. And institutions of all sorts, from libraries to universities to public schools to private schools to juvenile halls, mental facilities, hospitals, rehab centers. There's so many ways we can bring our work out to help and inspire others. Museums, exhibitions, and galleries we saw some photographs of. So what in this foray into self-promotion, which even saying that is hard for me, I love doing my work. I am not comfortable promoting it, but I'm facing my discomfort, and hopefully I will get more and more comfortable as I do it. That's usually how it goes in life, and at some point it will feel natural. We live in a world that has a lot of messages, some of which are just confusion, especially the influence of the many generations of sexism, where women are not supposed to know what they know or be proud of what they know or speak with confidence. We're supposed to be meek and self-deprecating and make fun of ourselves or gossip about others or be competitive with others. And I've chosen not to participate in what I consider confusion, and know what I know and what's important. And what's important is doing what you love and sharing that love with the world that needs it. And so in doing that, myself, I am doing something I've never done before, which is I'm going to launch around Thanksgiving a Patreon way to promote my work. A Patreon, which is a membership program that for a small monthly fee, the members get access to whatever you put, exclusive access to whatever you put up on Patreon. Bodhi's done that since he started writing his sci-fi thriller, Northport 1999, and he's got his membership following. Well, I just got there, learning from my son, which is great. Keep learning, keep growing. Nobody knows it all, and we can all improve. So I'm very happy to follow in his footsteps and get a Patreon membership. That the first thing I'm going to put up for the members who, at no extra fee, will get the stencil these are just little cards I made from 4 flower stencils. I literally have hundreds of stencils, and one by one they're going to go up what are called SVGs, scalable vector graphics, meaning that you can download them through the internet and you can print them any size you'd like for anything. Like this is stencils of cranes, the crane stencils and the evergreen branch stencils, all my botanicals and cranes and warblers and wildflowers and all sorts of things are going to go up as stencil designs for the members at no extra fee. Other people can buy them off of the internet for about $3 a piece on my web store or Etsy or wherever else they end up. We'll keep you posted. But the Patreon members will get all of it for no extra fee, and they'll keep getting more and more content, not just the stencils that can be cut with a Cricut cutter or be printed out and used as a template to cut with a razor blade or a hot knife. And I have videos out on how to do these things already on the Creativity Show, and I will include all of that in with the members, what the members can get at no extra fee, to not only have the designs but ways you can use them, from hand cutting to Cricut cutting to painting them on clothes, on fabrics, on walls, on dishes, on signs, on cards, on whatever, hats. I've got many things demonstrated in these videos, and I will continue demonstrating the different ways stencils can be used to create art to wear or do friezes, the home decor around a room, or make fine art with. There's so many uses. And all that will be how to and ways to use stencils. And then I'm going to move into a category that I'm going to call the True Entertainment Cabinet. And Bodhi's got some pictures of that, which I like to call our own imagination. You want to show some pictures of that. And I'm just going to do what I love the most, which is be creative and keep learning and keep exploring. So this cabinet that when Bodhi was a little boy had a VCR in it, just like, you know, a regular entertainment cabinet. Now I call it the real entertainment, our own imagination, and it's full of supplies, tools, and book designs and stationery designs, and there's even instruments in there to make music, and there's carving tools and painting tools and paints and pencils and brushes. And so after I put out a bunch of stencil designs for Patreon members or for anyone who wants to purchase them on the internet, I'm going to start just opening the entertainment cabinet, taking out some tools and materials and creating in front of you, and hopefully inspiring, giving you some ideas of how you can enjoy your imagination and express your emotions creatively, to stimulate your immune system, to help increase health and vigor in your life, and just step into your creative flow, which is documented to help our happiness level. It's all about creativity and ways to share it that can lead and will eventually lead to self-promotion that will lead to supporting you from what you love to do. And I wanted to speak a little bit about this and then ask Bodhi if he has anything he wants to add as the technical expert here. But what I want to say is that I've practiced throughout my life doing what I feel is right and checking with the few people that are in my inner circle that I respect their wisdom and their broad awareness and perspective and their kindness and compassion, but not paying attention to whether the strangers or groups or people that maybe follow trends and fashion and what's happening and what's popular, not really investing my sense of self-worth in what I'm doing, in whether they, whoever they are, like it, see it, acknowledge it, but believe in myself and check with a few people I really trust that it has meaning to them. So it's very challenging for me to be putting my stuff out there on the internet while having this life practice of not investing in what strangers say or don't say. But it's always stay in the middle, know that you're doing what you do because it's good for you and it doesn't hurt anyone else, or ideally it helps others. And don't add yourself up by the likes or the shares or whatever external. Don't add your self-worth up based on those can be very arbitrary things. And if we are authentic, if we are truly being ourselves, then we are different. And if we are different, it may take a while for others to see what we have because it's different. They may not recognize it. They may even be threatened by it. They may think that we're supposed to be like other people. But the truth is, we are all unique. So being ourselves is not necessarily popular, but if you do what is truly you and comes from your heart and sense of this is what is good for me and good for others that I have to give, it's what we call evergreen. It'll always be useful, valuable, instead of being a trend, clickbait thing now. It will be classic. It'll be eternally of value. And that's where I come down, is like, let it grow slowly. Let it unfold, like a flower blooming. It doesn't rush. And it achieves a gloriousness that's very natural. And it can't be rushed. So believe in yourself and don't let the likes or the world not seeing what you do yet hold you back from believing in yourself and doing what makes you happy. So there you go.
That is such a beautiful sentiment.
And do you have anything to share or questions that people have sent in?
I do. Let's first put up these comments that we just got on Facebook. So, Sumner, I remember Warblers and Wildflower exhibit. Excellent work and a very good turnout. And then Nancy Dunn, need to visit you.
Nice, thank you. I'd love that, Nancy. Thank you, Sumner, for he's an avian ecologist in Wisconsin, so I greatly appreciate you appreciating my bird work. And thanks, Nancy. you lent us your car to come see this house when it was on the market, and so you are ever precious moment in our lives. We had just met, and your kindness has not been forgotten, your generosity. So thank you, thank you.
Yeah, that was very nice of her to, first time she met us, just like, hey, you want to use my car to go check out that house?
Right, right.
That's Minnesota nice.
Minnesota nice, that's right. That's one of the many reasons we moved here. And yeah, we never stop appreciating it. Thank you so much. So are there some questions, or did you want to make some comments?
I have some comments and questions that have come in on YouTube, and I'm trying to grab the ones that came in last week that we didn't get a chance to address.
Okay.
But of course, that's a little difficult. So I'll start reading the ones that came in today. I'm hearing myself echo in here. Am I echoing out there?
A little bit.
I don't know what to do about that. I think I'll mute you for when I'm talking. Okay, does that help? Just nod your head if it helped. No.
Technology. Has a lot of complications. It's a complex tool, but it can reach the world, so we try to embrace the complexity, because, if I just worked with a number 2 pencil all of my life, which some of the time that's what I want to do, someone across the world, some little girl that's having a rough life that could stumble across my work and be empowered to keep going, might never see it. So we have to embrace the tools and the technology, and how it lets us walk lighter on the planet too, instead of having to drive around and fly around to talk to people. They can literally talk to me from as far away as they can access this. If there's internet, here we are. We're connected. We are all connected, but the internet lets us have an immediate experience of that, or close to immediate. I'm ready when you are.
One of the ones that we missed was Tigger Tiramisu commented one of your quotes. Face the confusion of the world and know what you know. I really needed to hear this today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. It is extremely gratifying, and if we don't share what's important to us, we can't know what moves others. So I love hearing from people what I may say or paint or demonstrate that helps them. That is so deeply gratifying. Thank you.
Then, okay. The Lone Gun 91 said on YouTube, I am very interested in event planning. What types of events have you found most effective in promoting your book or art? How do you choose the right events for your work?
Well, it was really hard to hear that question. I'm not only hearing an echo, but it's like 3 echoes. But I think events and how
What type of events have you found most effective in promoting your book or art? How do you choose the right events?
Well, the first thing I would say is that I'm still discovering that. And what's most important to me, and I would recommend, is do what you enjoy. And that way, even if you have a little turnout or a few book sales instead of a lot, you've enjoyed it, and so you've prospered. And so do the things you enjoy. And I find home shows, which I've done ever since I fell in love with drawing in my 20s, and had exhibitions periodically in my own home and invited friends and friends of friends. I find those extremely gratifying and also good response. I like I like well, simple and personal. I've had some galleries and museums and corporate headquarters shows, and they're more complicated, and somebody else can do some of the promotion work. But generally, even if we find a big publisher for a book or a big gallery for an exhibition, we generally have to do our own promotion. So whatever you're comfortable with, and whatever is fun and gratifying and not too taxing, and start small and grow bit by bit. It can be very gratifying. I think that the show that I've made the most revenue from was when a woman did a home show in her home and invited me to be part of it. And she had a number of artists in her home. And I was the last to be invited because we had just met. And so I had kind of the smallest space in the back, but somehow it was, I'm not sure how that happened, but it was a very profitable show. So sometimes what seems to be the most humble can be the most gratifying and the most lucrative. And the big shows, sometimes they can be a great party, but they sometimes, I know artists that go around on their big gallery show and put sold signs on all kinds of stuff that isn't really sold, or maybe they already gave it away, to make it look like a scarcity, so a couple pieces sell. So there's all kinds of tricks I don't participate in. I love, well, just being real, and I do art, I write, I paint, I stencil, I do home decor for the joy, for the love of it. So any revenue that comes from it is extra. And my love of creating is other people appreciating it. So the money is for sure. It's not why I do it. I do appreciate it, but it's not why I do it.
That's great. Am I echoing?
I can hear you.
But I'm not echoing. I think I fixed it.
Not too much. It's fine.
Alrighty. DB, Catalyst, how do you identify and target your specific audience for each event? Can you share strategies for tailoring your approach to different demographics?
Well, I can talk a little bit about that, but I'm not going to pretend I have a lot of experience in it. I know they say in sales and promotion you're supposed to target an audience, but honestly, I feel like anybody that either wants to be creative or appreciates creativity or wants to heal or help someone else heal is my audience. So I've had 8-year-old girls, I've had grown men, elders, I've had girls in juvenile hall, I've had people in crisis shelters or rehab centers or mental facilities or first graders, university students. So I don't follow the thing that everybody says you're supposed to do, which is find your audience and just target to them. So I don't really feel like it'd be authentic for me, justified for me to talk about how to find your audience, because I feel like anybody could be my audience. We've all need to have our hope encouraged. We all need to heal hurts or disappointments, sometimes tragedies and abuse and such in our lives, or we know someone who has gone through something traumatic. So I feel like everybody's my audience, or could be. But having said that, I could go to places where people that have gone through difficulty, that they're having trouble rising above, in juvenile delinquent homes, or at-risk people, and market my book there, give talks there. I could find, I am a woman, and I'm a woman who went through sexual abuse at a young age. I could target that group. So we can choose groups, we can choose populations, and focus our energy on them, depending on what your art, your creation, your book is. You can find the people that would most appreciate that work and do talks, invite them to a book signing or an exhibition. That's your choice, and it can be very very helpful to do that, especially for your own encouragement that you are reaching people.
Great. And, I think as much as you have chosen to have a very open, as broad as possible target audience, you still spoke of some really good principles on how to identify a target audience. And also venues. You can think about the venues that are available to do your events, and then they tend to have their own sort of target audiences and demographics, and so choose venues that...
Right. Yeah, university, galleries, public libraries, school auditoriums, the women's club, any group organization is going to have their own demographic they're going to publicize your event to. So I've done things with the University for Seniors, at the Women's Club. I've done things at, the Depot years ago. So I keep experimenting, and I keep trying new things, because that's part of the fun for me, is not narrowing my focus down. And maybe I'd make more money if I did, but like I said, money is third. My healing and fulfillment comes first, helping others comes next, or hand in hand, and then profiting off of it is dessert. But I've done a lot of work in my life. I've done a lot of other things for money so that I can afford to do that now. I've waited a lot of tables. I worked with the longshoremen. I've planted trees. I've painted houses. Blah, 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 blah. So I can now, at this mature age, afford to focus on precisely what fulfills me, and I am fulfilled by helping others, or the possibility of helping others. So
That's great. So let's go to the next question. Madeline asked, how do you prepare for an event to maximize its promotional impact?
how do you maximize the emotional impact? Is that what you said?
Promotional.
Well, press releases. There's a couple, there's one of these live streams that's about press and press releases. I think it was last live stream 6 is on that subject. So writing a press release and sending it out to the TV, magazines, radio, community in your vicinity or regional or state. Bodhi's pointing at, so that live.
The QR code to scan for the templates. You scan that and you can download the templates of press releases and newsletters.
Right. So we did a whole one of these live streams on that subject, and you can see it on the Creativity Show, and you can send us, download this and send us your email, and we'll send you a template of the press release that we sent out, newsletter, press release. So the newsletter goes out to your contacts, which is what next live stream is about, contacts. And then the press release is tailored to the organization, the magazine, TV, radio, podcasts, whatever you're sending it to. So there's a whole live stream on that subject, and you can see it anytime on the Creativity Show live stream category. So there you go.
Great, I'm back. I'm going to mute her and talk. So, oh, my mouse died the moment I muted her. This is hilarious. Ah. I got to grab the other mouse here. How funny is that? My mouse. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to get the next question on the screen. It has to do with promotion. But in order to do that, I got to plug in a different mouse. And she's muted, so that's why it's just me. All right, I got a mouse. Now, let's go to see the other question. NPS said, love the stencil note cards, and then they went on to say, how do you approach networking events to build connections within the industry? And I'm going to unmute her and mute myself.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Well, we can only actually teach what we know. And so I come from my own personal experience. And while I was in San Francisco, which is where Bodhi was born, and when I first saw San Francisco, I think I was 14 years old, and I thought, well, this should be home for me, because I loved the inclusivity, all the different nationalities, and there was so much diversity and people seeming to get along harmoniously. And I started skate dancing in Golden Gate Park, and it became years later skating place known around the world. And I went to a place off the main street where nobody was skating because I was a little shy about it, and I was dancing on the sidelines, and now it's the spot years later. But in San Francisco, as I said earlier, when I fell in love with drawing and knew I was going to do drawing and painting and visual arts for the rest of my life, somehow keep it, there was such joy that came from it, such a fascination with it, that I had shows about every 6 months in my own home, or my first one was actually at Park Point, out at the Park Point fair. And then the next show before I left in my 20s, when I was living in Duluth, was at a warehouse that a woman lived in. So I've always had these exhibitions in these humble, sometimes quite often my own home. But I had a big gallery owner come to one of my shows in San Francisco, and he said to me, George Krefsky, he had a very successful gallery downtown, and he said, how do you get so many people to come to your show? So in answer to your question, when I meet people that are sincere, kind, lovely people, I make sure I save their contact information. And then back in the day, you know, I would make sure I called them, sent them an invitation, somehow reached out and let them know I was having an exhibition. So this big gallery owner, highly successful man, said, you get more people at your exhibitions than I do. So there's nothing better than personal contact. And so when I do home shows, which I haven't done since before COVID here, that's what I love doing, inviting people in to see what I've been working on. And I can work, you know, generally for 6 months in my reclusive world of a lot of solitude and silence doing the art, and then have a big exhibition and be filled up for the next period of time, which often is 6 months before the next show. So that's how I've always done it. I've done galleries and museums and corporate headquarters and wineries and coffee shops and dessert houses and all kinds of different restaurants. I've had shows in all sorts of different places. But I find the most gratifying is in my own home, and that's what I'm venturing into now through this digital reach anybody that has internet connection and put these videos out there, so in the future anytime people can see what I'm working on and what inspires me and what I want to share with them. So that's how I do it. And some people, you know, are very much gallery people. They want a gallery, and I don't judge it. I don't downput it. It's fine, whatever works for you. And some people, you know, want the credibility or someone else to promote it. And at some point, I might do that too. We'll see. I'm open to it. All right. I think we're getting close to an hour, and do we have another quick question, or should we save it for Thursday?
Let me just read you a quote. Madeline then went on to say, "We could all use more awareness and compassion," quoting you from earlier. "Thank you for your calming wisdom." And I think that's a great one to wrap it up on.
Well, what a sweet and gratifying thing to hear reflected back to me. Boy, that makes my day. Okay, so we're going to be doing the next live stream on Thursday at 11, and the next subject is contacts. So how to grow our contacts, and so thank you everybody for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your help, Bodhi. Thanks to everybody that commented or asked a question, and I really appreciate you telling people that might enjoy these live streams, and any questions or comments you put up we'll get to in the next live stream when we can. And thanks again to the National Endowment to the Arts and Minnesota State Arts Board for the grant to do these live streams. I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you get something you can use, and meanwhile, stay creative.